Natasha and thank you so much for joining me today. Well, this is another white scraps video because I had all these strips that I had cut off another project. Now, one good thing, they're all pretty much the same width. They are not all the same length, but I want to show you something that I do with my white scraps that creates a really simple yet stunning background, and then how easily we can turn these into cards. So what I'm doing is I'm making sure, just going through, even though they're meant to be the same width, I'm just double checking them because there are a couple there that are a bit off, and that's fine because that happens with scraps. And then I'm going to layer 3 of each of these together. So just using some liquid glue purely so it gives me a minute to wiggle. Now I am using my matte medium glue here, and that's important because I do all 3 of these layers and then I wiggle them together nice and straight. Now don't worry about the ends because we'll be cutting those off, but we do want to make sure that the body of these strips is relatively straight because we are going to create some white on white dimension here. So I'm going to go through, do this with all 3. I decided I wanted 3 strips for this one, and for this a particular one with these scraps, as I said, they were all the same width. You could absolutely go through and cut some of these so that they were different widths, or that you could cut these ones in half. I think these were 1/2 inch. You could, cut them so that they were 1/4 inch strips. Or you could make them all different or keep them all the same. You could do entire backgrounds like this. You could do partial backgrounds like I'm going to do today. I mean, always the options are endless. And there is nothing that says that these have to be done in white either. White scraps is what I have today. But if you have coloured scraps, then by all means, you can either build it up with white and then add coloured on top, or you could just do coloured to use up your scraps. Now I have a card base ready to go here. So this is directly onto the card base. And we have 3 layers thick of cardstock, and I'm just going to put these all on a nice little angle. I'm going to lay them out roughly how I want them to go. And it's going to be, I don't know, a little bit of space, maybe a bit more than 1/4 inch or so in between all of these, and I just wasn't sure how much of an angle I wanted to put these on, but actually I decided to keep it not too steep, I guess. So glue one down, and then that is going to be the baseline for the others. So I'm just adding glue roughly where I think it needs to go. As I said, I'm going to cut the ends off, and that's mainly because all of the ends of these were uneven. If yours are more even, then by all means, don't waste as much on either side. Now, as I said, I want to show you 3 different kind of ways that we end up doing these, and then I'm going to show you 3 different ways that I finish these off into completely finished cards. So this one here, I've already gone ahead and done the part where I stuck all 3 layers together. So these are all 3 pieces of cardstock, and this time I have, I think maybe 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, and then 1/8 inch perhaps, something like that. It truly doesn't matter. As long as all of your scraps are the same size and nice and even, then glue them on together and this becomes a beautiful dimension. 2 layers of cardstock I find gives that little shadow, but not quite as much as 3. 3 creates almost its natural shadow. Now I wanted to show you another version here. This is the Lacey Edges 1 die by Pinkfresh Studios. It is an older die, but still great and still available. So I have just cut this out 3 times. Now you can see that this is an edging die, so there's no cutting side down what is the right hand side at the moment. But I do want to make these into similar to what I've done before. So I'm just going to run these through my trimmer and cut off each one of these. I can line it up so it's exactly the same for all 3 so that the edge has exactly the same amount and they come apart nicely. These edging dies I have just used so much. These have been so handy, and here is just another way that we can use these up. Now again, I'm going to do the same thing with my matte medium. My art glitter glue here dries a little too quick for this technique. For me anyway, particularly when I'm doing these details here, the detailed ones, I like a glue that has a little bit more wiggle time before I know that it sets perfectly and is not going to go anywhere. So the Ranger Multi-Medium in the matte finish, which is what's inside that little glue bottle, is the perfect one for me. Now I have created 3 of these. I did the others off camera because you got the gist of how we do it. And I'm going to pull out another card base and do a similar look, super simple. You absolutely, as I mentioned at the start, you could do the entire background in these. You could do them rainbow color if you wanted to do colored ones, going down the border. You could do them going sideways because they fit the length of a card as well. Yeah, lots of different ways that you could pop these on your card, but I'm going to keep it relatively similar just so that you can see how I went about creating these, and then 3 different versions, as I said, of finishing these off. Now, if you were inspired by this technique or you have similar versions done yourself, then we would love to see it, and you can do that over on my Facebook group called Come Crafting with Natasha. We would love to see you there. We have a supportive, beautiful, amazing community over there, and we can post all of our cards and things and get ideas, and sometimes it starts with an idea that was inspired by one of my cards, and then, people go with the flow and they come up with their own ideas and it starts creating new ideas. So it's brilliant. It's an absolute lovely place to be and to share your photos, and that way you can tag me and I can comment and look and talk to you over there. So if you'd like to do that, then either I will leave a link in the description box down below, or you can just search it on Facebook and you'll be able to come across it. Then I'm going to, once these are all nice and dry, and it doesn't take very long to dry at all, the glue dries pretty fast, I'm just going to go along and cut off all of the edges to keep it nice and neat. As I said, my edges weren't perfectly even, and that's why I was happy cutting these off, just to make sure I got, all the good bits on the card. But we're going to just quickly decorate these. Now we are going for pretty clean and simple-ish today, because I don't want to lose that background feature. Now this one here is the Plants and Vases die set from Altenew, and I will tell you, my mind was racing with ideas when I saw this one. This is super fun. So you can see this is sort of how they've laid it out on the back here, a little example, but we are going to add one today. Now I have one die cut already, the larger of the two there, and this is plain white at the moment. I am actually going to take a little bit of ink. This is the Sea Glass ink from Jenny K, but of course any ink is good ink, ready to go. And I'm doing nothing special here. I'm not doing really any shading. I'm not doing any darker areas, lighter areas. I was just happy with how it is. It actually has these beautiful little carvings into it that the die creates. And so up close in person, it's a little bit hard to see on camera here, I must say, but in person they're quite obvious, and you could definitely work to make these a very cool feature. So that is something that I will probably show you a little bit closer how to bring those out in another video. Now I have some Pinecone, Morning Mist and Golden Meadow inks here. These are the VersaFine clear inks. These are the pigment inks that I choose to use, and these are beautiful for stamping, of course. And so I'm actually going to use the Golden Meadow and the Morning Mist. I wasn't sure if I wanted the Pinecone, but I'm testing them on my scrap piece of paper to make sure everything goes together, and I'm going with sort of neutrals, I guess, for this look here on the card, because we've already got the blue vase, and so we really don't want to bring in too many crazy colors, but I think this is just the perfect amount of color, and this looks super cute when the vase is popped up on top of the dimension, and then the foliage, I guess, is coming directly out of the vase. And then in this little set, there is a little stamp set that you can see up in the top left hand corner, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sentiment stamps that go in here, so heaps of choice. And I love the little subtle sort of downplayed nature of that beautiful little sentiment. So it just says to a special person, and that is going to be card number 1 finished. Now card number 2, again, we're keeping these all really simple. These are the mini paper doilies from Doodlebug Design, and this is going to be in the mint color. And I have shown several ways. I've got a few videos using these and alternatives that you can use as well, of course. This bird here I created out of putting some washi tape down onto some paper. This is one of my most favorite techniques to do with my washi tape, and you can die cut through it. It die cuts beautifully, and running it through your die cutting machine means that it isn't going anywhere. If you're worried about it, there are lots of different techniques that I can go into to get it to stay put. Lots of different ways you can do it. You can put packaging tape over top, you can use liquid glues, you can use all sorts to make sure it's not going anywhere if you're not sure. Now I did cut the branch out of the same one, but I am going to add a little ground espresso, just a little bit more brown ink over top to just, make it look slightly different from the little birdie. And we are keeping this all very, very simple and beautiful. I don't want to take away from the background. And this doily, I did debate over it because it takes up a lot of that space, but I still really like the pop of mint color, so I'm going to go with it, and that's okay. I have adhered down the doily, and then I did decide to pop the bird up on a little bit of foam. Now, admittedly, this does make the card fairly dimensional, but that's okay. And I do find that even the cards that I make that have quite a bit of dimension, they get taken out of my stash pretty readily, pretty fast, because I think a lot of people give cards in person as well, or they're hand delivering them rather than just sending them, and they know what they have in their mind and what they need. So I don't mind making cards with dimension. I definitely know that people still grab for them. Then I've got the little branch down there, and this one just says hugs to you. I snipped off the branch so that it would match up the edge with the card, and that is card number 2. Super simple. Card number 3 that we made with the Lacey Edges dies, and this one, again, I'm just going to cut off these extra little pieces, and this is going to match up with the side of my card base. These are all done directly onto my card bases. This one, I'm going to keep this unbelievably simple because I think these embellishments are underrated. These are a really good way. If you are not interested in making the focal points or the toppers or things, if that's, you run out of time, you just enjoyed making the backgrounds and things, then you can add on something like this, and this is beautiful, quick, and simple, and I still think this looks stunning. So these are the butterflies by Little Birdie Crafts, and they have the little bit of foam tape on the back already. I'm going to choose 3 of these gorgeous little butterflies. I'm going to tilt up the wings a little bit, and then I'm going to do the top little butterfly. I'm going to perch him just so he's sitting on the top there. Now, value for money wise, I still think this is pretty good because I can, get quite a few cards made out of this set here. I still have plenty left over of these butterflies. I am just going to carefully take off this little butterfly so that I can stamp the hugs to you, especially since I'm stamping directly onto the card base. And then that is all 3 cards done and dusted with white scraps today. I hope that you have enjoyed these 3 cards that I've created. And at the end of this video, I will have some more ways that you can use up scraps, all different scraps, colored scraps, white scraps, all the good things. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks, bye.